Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. We are in a friendly mood tonight. We have next to us Cordy Cornett. Below me is Nikki D and Reek. I hope you guys can keep it together. And we're going to talk about Raw. I've asked you guys to come prepared for a random question. I can't wait for that part of the show. But first of all, I want to say, and I want to give honor to my mother. She passed away a year ago today. And she was one of our biggest supporters, and she says, keep it going. So we're going to keep it going. Love you, Mom. Rest in peace and miss you every day.
Much love.
So tonight, we're just going to go through a little bit of Raw. It's not really any order. I don't care how it goes. Not really that big of an order. But I just want to say thank you, Samantha Irving, for all the awesome ring announcing that she did for WWE, and she is gone from WWE. Of course, we see
nobody saw that coming at all.
No, we did not. Obviously, Ricochet left. I said months ago that she's going to go to AEW, but she did leave, and Lillian Garcia took over. So, what's y'all's thoughts about that?
I mean, well, it's the OG Lillian. You know what I'm saying? Hall of Famer. Who would be upset about that? But I did think it was this is what I was going to ask you guys. My question for later is right now. What in the world? I'm not waiting until later. What in the world was when she was announcing? She was announcing people that were not coming down to the ring. So I was like, is she reading off a card? What's going on here, Lillian? I don't know if anybody else.
Isn't that what they used to do before? They used to do that before. I think they would read off of this is who is going to accompany so-and-so to the ring. And they end up not being there. Sometimes most of the time it goes as it's supposed to, but sometimes there was a pay-per-view where Triple H was, he was announced and he was accompanied to the ring by China, but China wasn't with him. So I was like, that's interesting. That was the first time I ever caught a mistake like that. And then we watch the match and we forget about it, but
it just happened a couple of times. That's why I was like, what in the world no big deal. I just thought it was kind of weird.
Rusty, maybe. I don't know.
Cody Cornett.
Pretty much, I agree with them. She was rusty. She was out of it. I mean, good for Samantha. So, do you guys want to know why she left? Which, by the way, she quit within hours before Raw even started.
Okay, yeah.
I want to know.
I want to know too,
because this is the first I heard of it. Honestly, I haven't got to check. I watched SmackDown, but I didn't get to catch up on Raw yet, so I had no idea she was gone, and she's great at her job.
Right.
So
she wanted to do other projects, like singing, modeling, shit like that.
Yeah.
And WWE said no. So she said, I quit.
So it was kind of like wasn't it Zelina? When she wanted to do her gaming and stuff, and they said, no, you can't do it. She said,
yeah, you can't do your Twitch stream and all that. And she said, okay, I'm out.
But that was under Vince. Now we're under Triple H. So the fact that it's different and everything that changes still stays the same, what's the difference? Why are we not allowing Samantha Irvin to go sing, like make an album for herself? Lillian did.
Yeah,
she went and made albums for herself while being a ring announcer. So why can't we let Samantha? And then even worse, Lillian gives her that stamp of approval.
Mm-hmm.
Like 3 months prior, and now she's replacing her. And Lillian hasn't been a ring announcer since I'm going to be wrong as hell, but like 2013, 2014.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I don't know. Like you bring up some good points, and it is interesting because people under Vince, they weren't allowed, other than Brock. I don't know of anybody who was allowed to do their own thing while they were under contract. Like everybody else, you basically were like you were owned, for lack of a better term.
Right.
You had to ask permission to shoot, to color, to do something different with your hair, because you'll throw the gimmick off or do something like that. That's how strict it was under Vince. And it's different under Paul. So I don't know, man. It makes me wonder if there is something else going on. You hate to think it has something to do with Ricochet, but
no, and that's the thing. They were amicable, being separate from one another. They still saw each other because AEW does no house shows, so they'll be able to see each other when it's like in the middle of the week or whenever they don't do house shows in WWE.
Yeah.
And then, it is what it is at this point. She left. She took her ball and ran home. Ricochet has confirmed she's not going to AEW. She wants to do her own stuff. It's just it's
could it have
bullshit.
been the timing and the schedules would have majorly conflicted, and she really wanted to, and they're just like, look, we really need you, and she's like, no. I'm just wondering.
Well, she's like,
yeah, where did you get that information from of how it happened?
So a mixture of Sean Ross Sapp, Dave Meltzer, WrestlingHeadlines.net, which, by the way, that's probably the better of the three because they are a non-biased UK-based website.
Okay.
I've been using them since 2011, like practically in high school. And it used to be lordsofpain.net, which I thought was a great website, like just a great domain name. But yeah, they're very unbiased. They pick up almost everything that goes on with a wrestler. It's great. But
nice.
Yeah, it's a mixture of those three. And I don't know. You have three different ring announcers. You have one for NXT, one for SmackDown, one for Raw. Have one designated for house shows that isn't Samantha Irvin and the projects that she wants to do, and go on your merry way.
So it's not a AEW thing. You see her in the future going to AEW?
No, there's no need.
Okay.
No need.
So we started the show with, I believe, Seth Rollins in the ring, and I loved his match. He goes, you want to be famous or something like that. He goes, you want to be famous? I'll make your ass famous. And what do you guys think about this? Is Bronson Reed getting over with Seth Rollins? Is he going to be that guy, or is it going to just be one and done, and we not hear about him again?
I think Bronson Reed's pretty talented, especially for a big guy, man. So I don't think it's going to be one and done. I think anybody going against Seth will help you get over, man. It's freaking Seth freaking Rollins.
Depends on the person, though. It depends on if they're ready for that push. They've got to be ready for it. And if you can get put over and not be or maybe it's just not the right time. So
I guess the better question is Bronson Reed ready for that push?
Whew. Not yet.
I don't know.
Not yet.
Cody.
I don't know. I like him.
Let's put this in perspective. Bronson Reed has been in a massive feud for the longest time now with Braun Strowman.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended it in a Last Monsters Standing match, which I thought was a great name for a Last Man Standing match.
Mm-hmm.
We have shown off Bronson Reed's strength tremendously. Now we're going to show off his storytelling. If he could be a big man like Bam Bam and do great in-ring work with someone like Seth Rollins, who brought the best out of Omos 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Bronson actually doing something after becoming the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. because that's what he did last year on the SmackDown before 40.
Right.
I think he could be a future world heavyweight champion. I don't see him being a WWE champion, but a world heavyweight champion I can definitely see.
And who knows? Maybe this storytelling will help him change. Maybe he does something different with his character. Maybe there's like some sort of an arc. Maybe there's like, I don't think many of us looked at Husky Harris like, yeah, he's going to be champion one day. But he came back as Bray Wyatt and just lit the world on fire. So, you know,
pun intended.
You never know, man. You never know.
So yeah, it could work. It could work for him though. I think it's kind of a neat feud, personally. I think it's neat. It's different. It's fresh, you know, and it isn't something that like we're having to watch again. Another match that's kind of, you know, we're like, oh my gosh, this is just getting regurgitated over and over again, you know, and this is something cool and different. So
I will say this. He is the first person that I've ever seen do a splash on the announce table to make the fucker explode.
Yeah. That was a beastly, that tsunami, and he missed it all when he took out the damn announce table. It was nasty. It was nasty.
The two sides of the announcer table literally went like this, and then in the air, and then flew frontwards. And I'm like, holy shit.
Can you imagine if Seth Rollins would have been on that table?
yeah, bump that.
More broken ribs.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right, so I mean that part I mean Seth Rollins is gold when it comes to his interaction with anybody, you know, and that whole I think there was 3 segments with him in Bronson Reed, and they were all amazing. They were all just so good, so well done. So, but then we had the New Day and Authors of Pain. That to me was one of my favorite segments with everything involved around it. How it all happened. R-Truth coming in, and I'm beginning to like R-Truth. I say it again. I'm beginning to like R-Truth. I remember 2-3 months ago I said I couldn't stand him.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get him, and now I see what he's doing, and he is just gold as shit. And amazing stuff. Miz, that was funny. I mean, everything about that whole segment. I don't think Miz expected to be in the middle of the ring and be surrounded by the Wyatt Six. So that was entertainment. So what's your guys' thoughts on all that?
I was gonna say, like, there was so many things going on in that match. It was actually that's why I really liked it, was because you had everybody still kind of on the edge about, is Woods gonna turn? Is this gonna be the moment? You know, so you're paying attention to that, but then you have the Final Testament. You know, you got the Miz out there now. The Miz, it looks like, you know, oh, Miz is joining up with Final Testament. And then the Wyatt Six come out. So it was just 3 different things just happening. You're like, man, this is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I really liked that whole segment, how that went down. And what's his face on? Oh my goodness. Wow. I should be ashamed. I can't remember his name. Manager.
Paul Ellering.
Thank you. Took one for the team.
Yeah.
I think this is his way out. I think because Paul Ellering's in his fucking 70s or 80s. He is old.
He's got to be up there. He's got to be up there.
He does not need this job at all.
No.
I honestly think that this is going to be, because Miz has been in the business over 20 years. I think this is going to be the way to make the Miz the quote unquote manager for Authors of Pain.
Okay.
Because Karrion Kross can go off and do his own shit with Scarlett and be happy as a pig in shit. I think Miz is going to be the manager for Authors of Pain going forward.
Yeah.
Wow. So you think he'll be stepping away like from in-ring? Oh.
I think this rivalry or program with the Wyatt Six will make him a manager going forward.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is
He would
because I
be-
kind of see him as almost after this whole thing goes down, like stepping away at least for a while, maybe making an appearance here or there, but just kind of stepping away for good. Because, like
20
you said, he's
years.
been in the game forever, and
Gosh, 20 years. It's hard to believe.
His first WWE appearance, I could be wrong. It's either 2004 or 2005 when they had the $1 Million Tough Enough Challenge, and
Yeah.
he was in second place to Daniel Puder, who lasted 5 minutes in the Royal Rumble. Oh, it was 2004. That's why I remember, because Daniel Puder was in the 2005 Royal Rumble at number 3 and got his ass beat by the likes of Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Bob Holly.
they lit
I'm
him
thinking,
up.
what did this guy do, man? Like, he did something because he was getting stiffed big time. Oh my
They were
gosh,
like-
he was getting stiffed.
They were like, "Welcome to the club, bitch."
Yeah, there
So-
had to have been something else with that, but it's crazy that, and I always remember that because when he showed up, Mike Mizanik, I was like, that's that dude from the Real World, man, because that was the first season I ever watched of the Real World. And I remember his character, like, he drove me nuts at first, and then I was like, I like this guy. Like, he was just, and he's like a real obsessed with wrestling type of dude, because even back on the Real World, he had like this wrestling persona, and it was kind of like he was acting like The Rock a little bit, but he was, so even back then you could see he was serious, like he loved wrestling, and that was on the Real World. That was before he even was like, to stick with it for as long as he has, dude. He started out coming out. Remember that whole thing when he came out and he forgot his lines,
Yeah,
and he was like, oh shoot. And then he had to like look at his wrist or whatever, and then Shawn Michaels ribbed him for it. He went through all that crap, all that torture, and then look at him, man. He's still swinging. So I'm happy for him.
I love that segment with Sean. It was www.shop.com.
But everybody knew what he was referencing too, man. I died. I was, oh man, poor Miz. Shoot, I don't even know if he was Miz yet. He might have still been Mike Mizanin.
Yeah, he was Mike the Miz Mizanin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
he took it, man. Like, what was it? Changing in the public restrooms and stuff.
Yeah, kick up, throw stuff out of the locker room. Because some people did, and that's what it was. I mean, the Tough Enough seemed like a really cool, like that was an idea to find this talent, but then you have all these guys who were like, and I think that's what really, because Daniel Puder, if I remember right, one of the deals that they had was they had to do all these calisthenics and all this stuff, and then they had to wrestle the winner of whatever was this thing that they had that was live in front of the audience on like SmackDown or something. You were dead, tired, exhausted. And then whoever won had to have a wrestling match with Kurt Angle. And I don't remember who it was, because I think was it Ryback on that too or something? I don't remember what he called it. That might have been him that was on there. If I remember right, he was like, was he the one that was like the silverback or something like that? Or I'm confusing him with somebody else.
Stupid.
Yeah.
And think about that. All the names that were in that Tough Enough. Ryback, the Boogeyman, Mike the Miz, just three off the top of my head. I know there's more.
Was that the one, or was that not the one that had Christopher Nowinski?
No, Chris Walensky was already in the company and out of the company by Tough Enough 2004.
Okay. He didn't have a bad run, dude. I liked that guy. I felt like he was around longer than that, but I liked him. I liked his character. But anyway.
He was in the company, I think, less than a year.
Gosh.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, he was in the company in 2002, right before Vince did the Ruthless Aggression segment.
Yeah.
And then he left wrestling after the Royal Rumble 2003 when Rey Mysterio and Edge tried to do a double dropkick spot, but Edge was about 2 seconds too late and went off after Rey Mysterio. And when Rey Mysterio dropkicked Chris Nowinski was met in the face with Edge's knees in his head.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
But if you think back to that segment, that Tough Enough segment, Kurt Angle was calling the people out. He said, "Who else wants to get in here and try it?" And then that's when Pewter was like, "Me," and he because he was a fighter, cage fighter, or whatever, and he grabbed Kurt Angle in that chicken wing and was that close to like breaking his arm or causing some serious damage. So the referee really quick, like, counted to 3, he had the wherewithal, like, this is getting out of hand. And
It was so good.
yeah, there might have been something. I was like, oh shoot, dude, he's gonna break Kurt Angle's arm.
And then Kurt was pissed after that. He you could see it in Kurt's face. He
Oh,
gets in
yeah.
his face, headbutts him. Like there's a shoot fight about to happen for real. Like,
Oh yeah.
you try to break my arm. Like you're
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
break the arm of one of the golden gooses of the company. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really going to make a name for yourself. No wonder why you
Yeah.
got lit up like the 4th of July in the Rumble.
Yep. It was that and then it was just that, I don't know, I think it was his attitude and maybe just the lack of respect. And then you have somebody who didn't win, like Miz, who respected everybody, loved the business, and just that's what you call paying your dues, man. You got to pay your dues.
Absolutely. So that segment also seeing Cross staring down Woods. Is that a start to a good storyline, or do you think it's just going to be what is all going to come about that? Because that was intense. Because Karrion Kross stood there probably for a minute or two, just looking and watching Woods. I think that'd be a good segment, but I'm not sure that lasts that long. I don't know what they can do with that.
I don't know, man. It's like a Cross getting Woods' head, and I mean, we already see Woods is getting in his own head. He's getting frustrated. They're not winning like they used to, and he wants to win. And me personally, I see Woods as being a good singles competitor. Woods is good. And so I just I'd say a couple more weeks. And then he's going to knock Kofi right out.
Wasn't he a decent singles competitor prior to New Day? Like,
I mean, he's
really
a good wrestler, but he didn't really. I mean, he didn't.
No, I mean, he didn't have, like the character and all that stuff he does now. He certainly wasn't comfortable. He didn't have. He didn't cut promos. He didn't do any of that stuff. The New Day, obviously, he got all that from the New Day. Like, together, they were better together, and they all got stronger together. They all got better. But I thought he was a decent worker before that.
Speaking of the New Day, has anybody heard the update of Big E?
I don't think he's coming back. He's saying he may not be coming back. He keeps on going to see specialists, but there's no clear-cut answer to whether or not he's coming back. He enjoys being a broadcaster at this point. He doesn't really feel the need to come back.
Yeah,
That's a feeling about that.
I want to get to our questions that we all brought to the table, so we're going to fly by here. What is the hell Finn Balor wearing Terry Funk pants? Did you guys notice that?
I caught glimpses of YouTube. I didn't even really see that. That was off my radar.
There was a backstage segment where they're all there talking, and that's the segment where Dom just asked the question, what if I became heavyweight champion? And Carlito and Finn and all of them laughed at his ass. So there's a shakeup going to happen in that Judgment Day. But I noticed they were the black and white striped pants that Terry Funk wear, and I'm like, what the hell are they trying to do?
Oh wow! I'll have to watch it. Like I said, I haven't got to see Raw, so I'm gonna have to see that.
All right, go ahead, Cody.
You're biting at the bit.
How dare they laugh at a future world champion in Dominic Mysterio? Which, by the way, this is how we're getting Gunther Goldberg without the title.
You really think that Dom's going to get that title?
Because Gunther's going to be overconfident, Goldberg's going to come in and spear his ass, and Crown Jewel will be Dom versus Cody.
No, see, I was thinking about it after Crown Jewel was like.
That might be.
I have that gut feeling that, just like you said, man, Goldberg's going to interfere because he's pissed off. He mouthed off to his family. So he's going to
please, if there is a God, just give me that. Just give me that. That's all I ask.
Yeah,
dude, that would be. Can you imagine the pop that would get? Like, they crap on him, they boo him so he can't talk, all this stuff. But if he actually won the championship, I would pop.
No, it's not going to be a pop. It's going to be a giant boo. They're going to have to tone down the crowd noise just to make it palatable.
It would be a giant boo, but I would pop because I think Dom's great.
See, like the old WCW throwing stuff in the rings.
When's that match going to be?
Oh, you think it'll be that bad? Oh,
so let's see here. Oh, no, that's right. Crown Jewel is next week, so that's not going to happen then. But
I was going to say, if it happens at Crown Jewel, yeah, you might see stuff getting thrown in the ring, but
no, it's not going to happen at Crown Jewel. As much as I would love to see that happen at Crown Jewel. No, Dominic has to face a former world champion next week, which is obviously going to be Damian Priest. I mean, that's the. Who's the other former world heavyweight champion on the show? Seth Rollins. He's already in a program with someone else.
Yeah.
Either way, Damian or Seth can get screwed over by the person that they're in a rivalry with, which is Finn Balor or Bronson Reed. So either way, Dom's going to win and become number one contender.
Wow. Good point.
We've seen a little bit of with Damage Control, a little bit of Rey Mysterio, but the big one was the Jey Uso losing the title to Braun Breaker.
I don't even want to talk about that.
So my question are: Jey dropping the title, was it the right time?
No.
Yes.
Are we okay with the short
Quiet,
reign?
buddy. No.
So unfortunately, Rico, I'm going to disagree with you because it had to happen so that the bloodline story could be good.
I get that. I do. But you could have went another way with that. Obviously Solo and them were there. You could have had Jimmy and Roman show up to help them save the title. I didn't like how quickly he lost that.
I get that, but we're talking about short title reigns anyways last week when we're talking about John Cena getting it, losing the next day. I'm glad that Jey had it at least for 2 or 3 weeks, then lost it. I really do think that it's important for him not to have the belt going into the Judgment Day or going into the Bloodline story. It's going to get better. All that was good. But at that, did you guys see? I don't know who Rico did, Nikki D didn't watch it, but that stare down between Braun Breaker and Fatu.
Yes,
that was intense.
I
need that match to happen.
As soon as that, I was like, "Yep, future matchup right there. That's gotta happen."
It has
nice.
Cody Cornette.
It's for a bigger picture. It was for a pop in Los Angeles. It was so that we can carry on the story of the bloodline. It's a fucking prop. Get over yourselves, every fan out there.
Suck a fat one.
Not a fan, huh? Not a fan, Cody?
It didn't matter. Okay. Me and your brother had this conversation. What is more impressive? Having 16 world title reigns or having a title reign that went over 4,000 days in 2024? And I go, it all depends on the story.
Mm-hmm.
If the story's told right, all the title switches, all the long reigns, everything can be done well.
Yep.
If you're Vince Russo and think of it as a prop, which is what he does because he doesn't care about professional wrestling. He runs a fucking B-movie rental video store that's out of business for the last 5 years because no one gives a fuck. He has a podcast of his own because he's a piece of shit. He was on Piers Morgan because he was given money. Fucking idiot. I could have been on Piers Morgan and had a better vantage point of Vince McMahon, never knowing the fucking guy.
He was on Piers Morgan?
Him, Caleb Braxton, and the coach and Maven were all on Piers Morgan's Unlimited YouTube channel and talked about the Vince McMahon documentary and like everything that has gone on behind the scenes with Vince McMahon between the four of them.
My word.
It's whatever. It's dumb.
That had to have been quite the interview. Yeah, bro. I'll just tell you, bro. Yeah, bro.
And Piers Morgan, that pompous prick. Like, oh, God. But no, if you're Vince Russo, which nobody should ever wish upon that, even your worst enemy, and all you do is think about the belts as props and the wrestlers as actors, and all it is a TV show.
Yep.
Title switches mean absolutely freaking nothing. But if there's story behind the title switches, it will build in. It obviously we're in the middle of the Bloodline storyline that's moved to Raw because you have the Intercontinental Champion Jey Uso. Was the title switch needed? Yes, for the story.
Mm-hmm.
If the story pans out.
Oh, the story is panning out. This story's about Jey. It's no longer about Roman or Solo or anybody else that fucking matters. It's about Jey.
Because
take that back.
No yeet.
The Bloodline storyline is about two people. One that is in the Bloodline storyline currently and one that is outside of it. Jey Uso and Kevin Owens. But Jey Uso, we're going to talk about him for right now. Jey Uso needed to lose the title to continue on the story because now he has a reason to be pissed at Solo and fight at War Games.
I get that. I do. Can't argue with that one, man. I get it. I just don't like it, but I get it.
And he talked about that too. If any of you guys watch SmackDown, you know, like there's that whole segment there where he talked about how proud he was of what he won. And then, so that just plays into the story. It just plays into it. Not having that now is, you know, that it feeds into it. I loved him as champ, but it just, there's like a bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a bigger story being told.
But I love how he stood right up to Fatu, was like, why'd you have to go get Jacob? And he keeps staring at me. I'm gonna knock him out too.
There's a reason why we stayed away from them, or there's a reason why we avoided them. If he keeps looking at me like that, yeah, that was good. That was great. That was great. That whole thing was great. I loved it.
I have no problem with Jey losing the title. I think it's best for what they had going. I love what he said on Friday Night SmackDown. I see him and Jimmy getting tag team titles again. That's obvious. That's going to happen. He's one of those guys, doesn't need a title. That guy's been around the business for 14 years. He doesn't need that thing. Mm-hmm. He's good. He's as good as he gets, you know, and it's just. So my question to Jim Hoffarth, I think they're doing the story wrong. In the comments, if you want to tell us why you think he's doing wrong, that'd be great. So, but no, I'm excited to see that storyline. I'm a fan of the Bloodline storyline. Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
I love what they're doing with Roman Reigns. I love it. I love Friday night. We'll talk about Friday Night SmackDown. That whole segment where his goal is to get the Olafalo, whatever that thing's called. And I just love what they're doing. They're taking their time, and that's what I think that's what makes a good storyline. They're taking their time with it, piece by piece, and we're only getting this much every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I love that. Because why? Because that makes you. Like same thing with NWO. What did NWO? The NWO came into on the screen for this much. and it was enough to keep you wanting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so naysayers, I don't love the bloodline. I'm sorry, I love that storyline. I think that's one of the best. I think they're doing it well.
Yeah, think about the little teases too that they give you, like even where Roman was sitting there and he was thinking after, when it was like a following segment or after a match or whatever. And that was, after, Jay was like, they showed up and they talked to him and he was like, no yeet. And he's like, oh my gosh. So he's sitting there and then it pans over and Jimmy's sitting there and Roman's like, oh gosh, man, and then he references like, you're not the wise man, because Paul Heyman used to be like that when Roman was sitting there thinking. Paul Heyman would be sitting there, and then so that's like a little reference to him too. And you don't realize that all this time, we had all of them like they were together. They were like this unit, and then it all like came apart and it's scattered, and now like little pieces are coming back together, and without realizing it, I want those pieces to come back together. Like I didn't realize it, but now I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool, man. I dig this. Like, it just doesn't get old. I'm shocked that they can keep doing this. I'm just shocked. I'm shocked.
The only thing I'd change, I think, I agree with Jim. I don't like Solo as the leader. I think if they had Fatu or somebody else in that, I mean, it makes sense why Solo's there. I get that. But
yeah.
I just don't like him. I don't think I don't know. It's
he doesn't do bad. He doesn't do bad. He a little bit, he bothered me at first, but he's more convincing. He's got more convincing now, because in the beginning, I'm like, come on, dude, really? But, he was just the dude who was like, think about it. He was almost like that brute, okay, that they had. He was that brute. He was like the killer, like the killer dog, the guard dog or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, he was like, in a sense, he was untamed, but he was like the muscle. And now he's the leader. And then I kind of see some of that stuff a little bit, and I'm not trying to foreshadow or anything like that, but you see a little bit of that, like with Jacob Fatu, you know what I mean? How he's always just like, yes, this and that to Solo, but he's like the muscle. He's like that brute, or whatever, which is what Solo was. But he was one way, and like he's way better with his promos than he was back then. He's much better. So like I don't mind him. I don't mind him in that spot. Just yeah.
So Jim says the Cody story got me back in WWE, and I thought the bloodline would have kept me there, but I just can't get a hold behind Solo, and it didn't help that when Roman had the belt, Solo was the one getting his ass whipped. Yep. But no, so back to one of the comments I made. Fatu Braun Breaker. Is that going to be a massive match, or is Fatu going to destroy him, or Braun Breaker going to beat his ass? What do you think?
Massive match.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that'd be a massive match right there. There'd be no dominating on either side. That's going to be a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lineage too. Like you have that again, just like you did with Braun Breaker and Jey Uso. So us, wrestling nerds, we look at that, we're like, oh, that's so cool because they're related to so-and-so, and you know what I mean? And I don't know, I get a kick out of that stuff because I've been watching this for like ever. So it's just cool to see that. I think it would be great.
We got 20 minutes left. I have no idea how long these random questions are going to be. So I'm going to go last. So
is everybody just asking one question? Is that what we're doing this time? Just one question?
Yes, unless you have two. You can ask two if you have to.
Well, no, I don't want to go over. So I mean, I wrote down a few, but it can always save some for next time if it's going to be like a regular thing that you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just do one.
All right. So let's go start. Nikki D, you can start.
Okay. So the one that I'm going to do today, everybody probably had a moment you watched as but I've watched for I don't even know how long, well over 30 years. What was the moment when you realized that professional wrestling was, and I will never call it fake because I did it, and the crap it hurts. What was the moment that when you realized that it was a work?
When I went to a live show, my brother was in and watched it.
That was when you realized it was a work?
No. It's just messing with you. No, man, that's a good question because it's like, I mean, it was since we were younger. Like,
But my answer, because I'll answer my own question and then you guys can go after that. I held on to hope forever that it was like legit. And I always got upset if somebody told me that's predetermined or that's fake. I'm like, I would get seriously mad, like really, really mad. I was 17, I think. So yeah, I was still holding on. And I kind of knew, but I kind of didn't want to. Owen Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's what did it. When he hit that tombstone pile driver on Steve Austin and freaking jacked him up, and he was laying there and he couldn't move right, and Owen Hart looked down at him and was like, oh. And then he walked around the ring. It was like, now he's gonna kiss my butt. Now he's gonna kiss my. He was just buying time, and then Austin, who couldn't even move like one of his arms, just pulled himself over, and then reached up with one hand, with one finger, and grabbed Owen Hart. And Owen Hart was like, "Oh no!" and then fell back, and he just draped one limp arm over him and pinned him for the 3 count. There were 2 things right there. Number one, that's when I had to admit I was like, okay, this is definitely a work. But then number 2, that crap is very real because I just saw somebody's neck explode when his head hit the mat. So that was when I officially was like, okay, yeah, because there was no reason why Austin should have been able to crawl over. They were just going with, the planned finish. So that's when it was for me.
Scott, I think you should go next because mine's. I do believe I'm the youngest in the group. Am I not? I'm 32.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, Scott, Huge Pop might be a little younger than you.
I'm 54, so. So explain your question. I guess a work. When you say a work, and I'm going to show you I'm going to show my knowledge. A work. When you say a work, what do you mean?
That the matches aren't legit 2 people beating the crap out of each other until one wins. Like, really, really wearing the other person out. Like a shoot match. That the winners are predetermined, I guess is the best way I can say it. Did you have a time where you watched it when you were younger and you fully believed it?
All the time. I say
yeah. So then that's why I'm asking for when was the time when you were like, oh, like this is it's
all right. I'll go back. I've always thought it was shoot real. I'm like, oh my god. Even with Snooki getting the coconut and Shawn Michaels through the barbershop, window, all that was amazing stuff. Which I was like, oh my god, oh my god, and I think. I don't know if I've ever thought it wasn't, but until I watched an AEW show, and when Cody Rhodes was in the ring, and there was about 4 other people, and somebody went to punch somebody, and they were like came that far away from the face, and I'm like, okay, that was a fuck up. That was a big mess up. That was not, and that so that or when LA Knight was in the match where he jumped off I think it was against Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt had to scoot over about 5 feet.
Oh yeah.
So LA Knight could hit him.
Yep.
I don't know if that's what you're asking, but I think that's when I'm like, yeah, okay. Because I've been to indie shows, and I will tell you this: you guys in the indie shows, you guys shoot straight
Mhm.
up. You guys beat the piss out of each other, and I do not ever. If I only watched indie shows, I think it's all shoot. I would think to the day I die that stuff is so because the thumb. So you're so close to the arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so right there in your face, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Yep.
But that's where I stand. I mean, I've always thought it was nothing in my. I mean, Macho Man getting his leg dropped by Hogan. I thought that was big time betrayal. I was like, "Oh my god, this is real shit." Hogan Hogan turned on his friend. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Now, so because there's two. Sorry, Cody. There's two real quick that come.
No,
like you were saying, Nikki D. I tried holding on because you always hear, "Oh, that's so fake. That's so fake." You know what I'm saying? But you try to hold on to it, and unfortunately, I love the guy. Not trying to blast on him, but he had two instances that just really huge spot when you mentioned somebody throwing a punch and missing by a mile.
Yeah.
Ken Shamrock. When I watched him throw a punch and miss it by a mile and somebody had to react to it like he was right next to him, I was like, "Oh, Ken." I was like, okay. And then the second time when because you're like, "Oh no, they just do it on the spot," when he was like I'm trying to remember, was it Val Venus was going after her sister, I believe.
Oh my gosh. I know what you're gonna say.
Right in front of
I know what you're gonna say.
Smack me. And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna say that. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Blood's thicker than water." And he's furious and screaming at his sister. He's like, "Blood's thicker than water." Slap me. and then there was this pause, and she was like, "Oh," I smacked him. Dude, I'll never forget that. I will never forget that.
Before Cody goes, I think you're right. I like this. I remember this to the day. I think it was King Kong Bunny versus Hogan in the old blue steel cage.
Oh man,
that cage looked fake as hell. And with those massive men in that cage, and that cage was swaying back and forth, I'm like, that's not safe at all.
Mm-mm.
So Cody, your turn, man.
And this is going to sound bad, but June 7th, 2007. A date that will live in infamy. I was 15 years old. And this was 3 weeks after the limo explosion of Vince McMahon.
Mm.
And Vince is on TV in an empty arena. And I go, "What the fuck?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says that Nancy, Daniel, and Chris were found in their Georgia home dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like I always knew that it was a performance. I always knew that like people were working together.
Mm-hmm.
But there was always that hint of they're just professionals. They still are laying in on each other, like actually giving these like punches and shit like that.
Yeah.
But the way that Raw ended 3 weeks prior, seamlessly, I might add, to where Vince is dead and people were in the arena calling 911.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 weeks later, a real death occurs and has to bring him on camera.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks, I thought Vince was dead. I'm not even joking. I really thought Vince was dead. I'm like, fuck, he went that far. Okay, whatever.
Wasn't it filmed so good? You saw him sit down and the foot go out and then step out. I rewound that because I still used to videotape them. I rewound that over and over and over again. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And I have like the DVR feature of slow-mo. and like you hit play twice and it slow mo's it like frame by frame, and as soon as that car door hits, like you see the start of the explosion, like the next frame, and I'm like, they did that seamlessly. There was no fuck up whatsoever.
Nope.
And then 3 weeks later, there's a fuck up.
Yeah.
Kind of had to, but you know,
kind of couldn't escape that one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Rico, you
my
got a
gosh.
question?
yeah. So I asked you three guys. So if you could pick one person, it don't matter which wrestling organization, to come back, who would you pick to show up today and wrestle?
They have to be able to wrestle, right?
Yes.
It has to. It can't. So we got to be careful with what era we pick, right?
I mean, well, let's say, yeah, you got to be careful with the era.
And when you say come back and wrestle, are we talking come back and wrestle for WWE? Or are we talking come back and wrestle?
Yeah, I'm talking about come to WWE and wrestle. That's why I said any other organization, like, you know.
Adam Cole. Adam Cole. I've missed him since the day he left.
Baby.
That's my answer. Adam Cole. That was a huge mark for Adam Cole, dude, in NXT, and then he left, and I was like, no. Vince protected him too well from the main roster. He would not let him go to the main roster. That dude was ready forever. He wouldn't let him go because you saw what was happening to NXT talent. That's my personal opinion. I'm just, that's my opinion. I can't prove it, but I think he protected him and kept him in NXT. And then he went where, you know, he could make more money and he could be, a star and everything. And I've hated it. Absolutely hated it ever since.
I'm going to go John Moxley. I don't care what everybody says about what they're doing with him and his death matches, and I would love to see him come back to WWE. Moxley would be amazing. I would love that. I think that'd be great.
I think Cody wants to comment on that so bad.
No,
I can see him.
I agree. John Moxley going back to WWE would probably be the best thing for him.
Who's your wrestler, John? Who's your wrestler, Cornette?
I don't really have one. It's hard to say because there are guys that do better in AEW. There are guys that do better in AAA Mexico. There are guys that are better in New Japan. To take somebody and to put them in the WWE way of thinking that hasn't already been there and that I don't really want to see again. I mean, if I could see Enzo and Cass in WWE,
oh yes,
for another tag run and at least get the belts this time,
damn,
I would be happy. And I will say this with my whole chest and every part of my body that Enzo is probably the second best person on the mic behind John Cena.
He really is. I mean, I have to agree with you.
He was really good.
He really is.
I mean, he was really, really good on the mic. And Cass is a big dude, and
he can't teach that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go with your question, Cody? You want me to go with mine?
Go with yours.
All right. So, in my opinion, two of the biggest wrestlers that had the biggest impact on the sport were Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold. Throughout every generation, going up to now. So, who is the Hulk Hogan and the Stone Cold of today?
Of today? Man, there was for a moment I really thought that LA Knight had that Stone Cold feel. Like I really did think that he was kind of getting there, but he's kind of losing a little rhythm. And it's nothing against him. It's just he's losing a little rhythm there. So, but Hogan feel, I would almost say like a Roman Reigns. Like that, there's your Hogan right there. The face of the company. He puts butts in seats wherever he goes. And as of lately, he makes big appearances to the big shows.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wade Barrett. Oh, man. That, I've been dying for him to come back. I really like Wade Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki
Then
D.
who's your Stone Cold then? If Roman is your Hogan, who's your Stone Cold?
Okay, hold on, Rick. Before you answer that question, the question is Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold were the biggest that had the biggest impact for me as growing up as kids. So, Jim, the question is, who is the Hogan and Stone Cold of today?
I'm going to say, just from the way he acts and how he's been going, I would say a young Braun Breaker. He's got that, I'm going to go against the rules and do what I want to do, and you're not going to tell me.
Now, this doesn't have to be strictly WWE.
I haven't watched too much AEW lately. I haven't recorded. I just haven't watched it. Every time I go to watch it, I hear Cody in the back of my head. Why are you watching this? Don't watch it.
That's the voice of reason.
It's a voice of reason.
Mickey D, who's your Stone Cold and Hogan?
Of today, I would have to say Hogan, just for the person. And oh, Pete, that's tough. John Cena has to be, because he's huge, just huge, and what he's meant for the business, and how long he carried that company and did it like nonstop. He would have, to me, he would kind of be like the Hogan, and then the Stone Cold. I would have to say Roman. See, Roman would kind of be in that category for me, because he's still, where Cena's. Yeah, I'm just going to go with those two.
Cody Cornette.
The Hulk Hogan is Chris Jericho because he's a piece of shit politician. Tell me I'm wrong, though.
I've always had a soft spot for Chris Jericho.
Freaking ripped off his shirt. Jeez.
I mean, I don't even know who looks worse in their 50s, Hogan in the NWO or Jericho now.
Man.
Yeah, Jericho's changed, that's for sure.
Oh my God. Like, he looks like the woman from Kate Plus 8 if she like was on a bad binge of alcohol. And the Stone Cold being God. Like, the Stone Cold, I dare say, would be Braun Breaker. I think the Netflix era of WWE, like I've been saying all along, will be held at the top by Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. That is your Austin Rock rivalry.
For the next generation or the next era or whatever. Okay.
The Netflix era will be held down by Carmelo and Breaker.
I agree with Breaker being the Stone Cold. pains me to say Cody Rhodes is the Hulk. The face, I hate that, but
Can you explain that just a tad bit?
Well, because for the last month, 2 months, 3 months, you guys have been saying how this guy, and again, I say WWE screwed Cody Rhodes. He could be the Hogan, but they're not. He's putting in shitty storylines. So before I finish my statement, I could say Cody Rhodes, which he would fit. But I'm going to say Roman Reigns is your Hulk Hogan of today, and Braun Breaker is your Stone Cold. Cody Rhodes should be the Hogan of today. Well, I think
again, you say that, and I'm trying to understand why.
Because all the things that you guys say, merch, butts and seats.
He's still over though. Like he's very, very over. I think he does good with merch.
Hogan was over, right?
Yeah, but Cody is.
If you're comparing Cody Rhodes and Hogan, Hogan was over. Cody Rhodes is over. Hogan's a face. Cody Rhodes is a face. Everybody wants to have Cody Rhodes wins. Everybody wants to have Hulk Hogan win. Hogan must pose. Cody must help the charities or whatever you want to say. Give a person your tie. That's what Cody Rhodes wants to do.
Hogan must pose. Cody gives away his SummerSlam jacket at a live event.
No, he's the Hogan. He wants to be that dude, and I mean that's it. So there's my answer. There's my answer.
I think Jim agrees with you. Cody would be the Hogan, and Breaker would be Stone Cold.
I just don't get it. But
So go ahead, Cody. Finish up your question so we can wrap this up. You come without a question? Unprepared?
No, I didn't come without a question. But after the conversation we've had, my question is just going to be stupid. What is the worst gimmick of these two?
Ooh.
These two.
The oddities in the Attitude Era, or the Jim Herd original, the Ding Dongs?
Can you say tie? Can we just seriously say tie?
Do we agree that they're both?
Okay. I'm going to go on record by saying the Ding Dongs are the worst gimmick in all of professional wrestling, and that takes the cake with fucking Gobbledygooker, Hornswoggle, El Torito, 3MB, the Oddities, ICP, the Misfits, and freaking WCW.
Oh gosh!
Yeah,
right?
The Brooklyn Brawler. I hated that.
Brooklyn Brawler, Abe Knuckle,
Great.
With the Blue Meanie.
Blue Meanie, the BWO, like all these gimmicks. The Ding Dongs is the worst. And there's actually two bad Jim Herd gimmicks that he actually tried getting over. He tried the Ding Dongs, which if nobody has gone and watched that match, it's only lasted one match, and thank God for it.
I remember.
Go watch it.
I remember.
There's a bell in the corner. They ring it, like as their tag partner is like in the ring getting the moves done. And they have to they're like dressed up like Spider-Man but with bells.
Yeah.
Like they have actual like Christmas
in gold, and like you can't see their face. Is all like it's I remember to this day.
And this was in a booking meeting and never made it to execution. Thank God, Ole Anderson. The Hunchbacks.
Ninja Turtles.
Hunchbacks.
The Ninja Turtles. Way to go, Jerry Lawler. Don't give a shit about copyright in Memphis. Jim Herd tried to make an unstoppable tag team called the Hunchbacks, who could never pin because their shoulders would never touch the mat.
Oh my God.
Ole Anderson lets Jim Herd go for 20 minutes on a spiel, saying how they can be the most undefeated tag team in the world, and then only goes in 5 seconds. So you think they'd be undefeated? Okay, you gotta put him in a headlock and make him tap. There, defeated. I just beat the undefeated fucking team.
Oh my god, dude.
Like, these are legitimate ideas that came from a former Pizza Hut owner.
Anyway,
I will say this too: the oddities, they were actually like for like a heartbeat. They were involved in some sort of a whatever with Sable when Sable was like way over.
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
they were involved in something where she was like, "Oh, they're actually really sweet," and this and that. And you had the big goofy one with the mask on and carried that was like Earthquake or whatever.
Oh yeah,
but,
John Tenta.
Yeah,
John Tenta's Golga.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, see, so the oddities with Sable is the equivalent of the hot girl taking the special needs kid to prom.
Yep.
That was exactly what it was.
Come on, let's get some pictures.
It was, oh my gosh, but I remember that. But the Ding Dogs didn't even get that. They were just, yeah. They were
So before we hang this up, I just my boss, he goes to me and he says, "Cody, I watched more of that Vince McMahon documentary. He's only like episode 4 or 5 in." And he's like, "I don't remember the Attitude Era being that crazy." And he's only like 3 years older than I am. I'm like, "Pat, I never watched the Attitude Era. I know a lot of it and about it. I've never watched it fully."
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, it was crazy. They literally had Sable unveil herself from a potato sack with handprints on her testiculars on her chest.
Yes.
Yep.
On live TV.
On live TV. Two incidents that happened. There are 2 incidents when that happened. That one and the famous story by Bruce Pritchard about how they got away with it in the UK with Jacqueline because Sable ripped her top off when she was on top of the shoulders of a referee, and all Vince could go was, which makes so much sense now, chocolate titties.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh.
And I say that in the mill at my boss, and people just start laughing. No reference, no nothing. They just hear me say that sentence, and everybody just busts. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find it.
That was the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
What are you looking for, Scott?
The oddities.
Oh, the oddities.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you guys for coming on the show. I'm just going to close the show out. I think this is a good segment. I love the questions that we bring to the table. So, Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast fans, expect more.
Hold on 1 second, Scott. Sorry. I wanted to tell you guys my answer. I didn't give you my answer for my question.
Oh, what's your answer?
No, a lot of people argue with me over this, but if you watch the guy, he's in freaking phenomenal shape. He's actually gotten so much better, and he still wrestles. I want to see what he can bring to the table to WWE if he comes back. Chris Masters. I've been watching him, and that guy's gotten better.
Wait.
I don't care what you say, Cody.
Wah, wah.
Is did he gain his 50 pounds of muscle back?
No, he.
You still remember when Triple H said that you're going to tell us how to lose 50 pounds?
That's a deep cut. Oh,
That's too far. That's too far. Edit that out, Huge Pop.
No, there's no editing. We're live, pal. We're live.
Yeah.
There's no redos.
I mean, hey. Yeah.
Way to go, Sid.
But no, I've been watching him. I'm like, man, this guy's actually. I would just I guess it's the curiosity. I want to see.
Isn't he still in the NWA?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So, again, guys, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. Tim Hoffer, thank you for watching on Facebook. He's from SICW. Herb Simmons up in St. Louis. He's a wrestler himself. Zach Minger, thank you for coming on. Please Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This coming Tuesday, I will not be here. So next Tuesday, I will not be here. But I hear this could be an interesting.
Can I make the announcement because I was told to?
Interesting show. I hope you still like me, guys, when I get back. I'm not here. I cannot and I will not claim that his opinions are my opinions. And so, Cody Cornett.
I was told this by my other boss to introduce him in a polite and careful manner because of how we can get heated with one another. My other boss, his brother, Matt Rogers, MJR, as he likes to be called, from the great state, the magic state of Michigan, from the most magical city on earth, Detroit, Michigan. He will be on the podcast next week and giving his official predictions for Crown Jewel. And I will probably be bleeding out my mouth because I will have gone through my tongue.
Mate, I can't wait to hear what you got to say.
So I love the kid. I know, seriously, I love him. He's enjoying himself doing the same thing as he watches our show every week.
He's going to enjoy this last segment. He's just having grin ear to ear right now, just watching me gritting through my teeth through that announcement.
I will not be back till Tuesday, November 2nd. No, November.
That would be November 5th.
November 5th.
Yep.
So, guys, so the people can let are listening. Do you guys want to do a 7 p.m. Central start, 8 p.m. Eastern? Does that work better for you guys so we don't go into like 9:30, 10 o'clock hour for you guys? Or it's 8 o'clock? That work better? I mean, I need to know what works better.
8 works for me.
Yeah, it works for me.
Doing it 1 hour early?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Starting the 5th, I believe I'm going to be in Asheville, North Carolina, helping with the cleanup with my company. So I won't be here all week.
Take your fucking phone with you and get on the
I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
I said, take your laptop or your phone and get on your fucking phone so you can be part of the podcast. That's what I said. No. Cool, man. We'll catch you the next Tuesday after that. So
I don't even know what's going to happen, honestly. I'll have my phone on me. If I got time, I will, but I don't know what's all entailed.
Yeah. Perfect. So, guys, thank you again. Mom, rest in peace. I love you. Miss you so much. Thank you guys for being part of the family. You guys honestly, truly have gotten me through the last year as my friends on Facebook and on the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. You guys are amazing people. Hold it together next Tuesday. I don't claim or nothing. I don't even know what's going to happen. So,
this bastard's going to make me do so much fanfare, and I have to go through. Ugh.
I got your back, Cody.
It'll be interesting. I'll probably be watching from afar.
I'm
telling him to send me the link. So Cody, remind him to send me the link, and if I'm available, I'll join in. So he doesn't take over. It's not a hostile takeover.
Oh, it's not going to be a hostile takeover. I will make him know where the bread is buttered, but he is making me do all this fanfare that he wants because he's so spectacular.
All right. Well, hey, Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast fans, I love you guys. I love this show. I love everyone in front of me. They're great guys. They're family through and through, and I mean that to you guys all the time. I know I say it all the time, but I really do mean it.
Much love.
Appreciate you all, and Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast fans. Oh wow, we got Cody. Good night, guys.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.
is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level.
Fight with Adrian Whispers, like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army, they got the tanks and everything.
He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled, cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle.
Six sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the